the disruption that we've seen in the energy markets, right? We're talking about the leaks in the Nord Stream pipeline, the suspicion of sabotage. How much more murky does it get from here?
Yeah. Well, first, Tanvir, thank you for having me on your show. The oil market has, over the last, I guess 150 years, have had its ups and downs. And this is just another one of those cycles. And we don't think it is a long-term one. Actually, when you look at the energy crisis versus inflation, interest rates, and recession crisis, it's probably one which will resolve itself sooner rather than later.
But wouldn't this issue just make the rift between Europe and Russia, just pull them apart further?
Well, there's clearly, with the war in Ukraine, there has been a clear disruption in the supply of energy into Europe. Europe has been doing a very good job into seeking other energy sources, and most recently they have announced some terrific agreements with the Middle East. So that will take time to sort itself. Once that supply-demand imbalance will be addressed, then you'll see very quickly the oil levels going back to more appropriate levels.
Right. So what you're saying is that the fractured relationship with Russia can be kind of taken in another direction by building new relationships, new energy relationships with the Middle East and the U.S. You think Europe will be able to fill in the gaps by building those relationships?
That is correct. Obviously, the issue of transportation of oil and gas is not that straightforward. However, the Middle East have historically always been a consistent source and a reliable source and partner to pretty much most of the world for their energy needs and energy demands. It will take time, however. It's not that straightforward to mobilize tankers and what have you, to change routes and what have you. So that will take time. However, when we look at the macro challenges ahead, we do put the oil crisis or the energy crisis probably lower down the concern level as opposed to many of the other issues.
Why do you say that? Because a large part of the inflation problem is energy and food, no?
Well, it first and foremost started with the supply chain issues toward the tail end of last year, and that we have seen the cost of containers, for example, more than quadruple for shipping products from Asia to Europe. That have created knock-on effect into other supply chain issues, and that was kind of the trigger to inflation. The Ukraine war has in large part escalated or aggravated that inflation to a hyper levels, at levels which we have not seen before. However, coming back to the oil supply, world supply of oil, the capacity is there. Okay, and that is the fundamental question: is there the capacity? And the disruption today is not driven by lack of capacity. It's driven by a lot of the rerouting of the oil and gas routes to new routes away from Russia and into other providers.